G'day there, everyone. Thanks for joining. We'll just wait a couple more minutes for everybody else to join, and then we will kick things off. Okay, let's kick things off. First of all, welcome everybody to this webinar or launch webinar for the brand new product out of the Valo kitchen called Valo Entrance. And today what we're going to discuss and take a look at, first of all, discuss and have a roundtable with our guests on the panel today is all around the external sharing capabilities of Office 365, the pain points that organizations face with that, but also the importance that that brings to your organization. Now, after that discussion, we're going to go through a demo of our new product, Valo Entrance. So stick with us for that. But first of all, what we're going to do first is go around the room and introduce the entire panel. So first of all, my name is Daniel Anderson. I am the partner manager and product evangelist here at Valo. And I'm going to be joined by a couple of other special guests today that are going to share some insights from their experiences in this area as well. Now, joining me today from the Valo team is Mark Powney, technical partner manager and newly anointed Valo Connect product owner. So welcome, Mark.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Now, for everybody that doesn't know who you are, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you've come from, and your experience here.
Yeah, sure. So I've been working in the Microsoft 365, Office 365, SharePoint Online space for a good decade or so now, maybe even more if my memory serves me well. Done a lot of collaboration tools as a delivery of that through development of software all the way through architecting complex solutions, particularly around, I guess what's important for this session anyway is building collaboration tools on top of the Office 365 platform, and those collaboration tools actually spanning multiple organizations, multiple entities with interesting sort of topologies as far as identity is concerned. So that's my experience.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mark. And joining us today, we're very lucky to have Microsoft MVP Vincent Choy on the line as well. Welcome, Vincent.
Hi everybody.
Now, Vincent, tell me a little bit about yourself, who you work for, and what it is that you do, and your experience in the Microsoft 365 stack.
Well, I come out of Kuala Lumpur, right? I work in a company called Fedelis. So what we do is we basically help companies digitally transform to the cloud through Office 365. right? So we usually work with companies that's typically about 500 users to maybe about 3,000 users, right? And we basically take them along the journey as they go into Office 365, right? And as they usually they start with email, right? But then they get more adventurous, then they try stuff like Teams, then they try automation, right? And we basically walk the journey with them.
Very good. Thank you very much. And thanks for joining us today. Now, just a little bit of housekeeping first and foremost. We do have the Q&A functionality. This is a Microsoft Teams live event. So we do have the Q&A functionality here for everybody joining to post your questions. We'll be monitoring that throughout the session. We'll also, if you are using Twitter, we will also be monitoring and making use of these two hashtags, Valo Webinar and Ask Valo. We can post any questions there. Now, the webinar will be recorded as well and will be made available after the event. Now, in terms of the Q&A, if there are questions that we don't get to or require a little bit more of a longer explanation, then we will take those offline also and respond to those as soon as we can. Now, in addition to the Q&A, we are running a raffle throughout this webinar as well. So get your questions and questions ready to go either via the social channels or via the Q&A, and you'll be in the running for a great Valo swag box to be sent out to you. We are known for our very, very good swag. So jump in on the questions and there might be a nice little gift coming your way. Now, on to today's agenda. So what we're going to be doing first is just having a look at and having a discussion around how we, Valo, as a company, are helping you to reinvent the external collaboration and user management story around Office 365. Now, also, we're going to be chatting to Vincent and Mark to get their expert opinions and inside knowledge around why external collaboration is so important and the real challenges and pain points around enabling this external collaboration. We're going to also then jump into a demo of this new product that we call Valo Entrance, so you can have a look at how we are, I guess, alleviating all of these issues that you may face. And at the end, if we've got enough time, we will be taking questions and answers as well. Now, just before we dive in, just a little bit about Valo, what we believe in, and how we see ourselves and position ourselves across the globe. So, obviously, the digital workday experience is pretty common now, whether it's via necessity or people are on that journey or midway through that journey. And pretty much every company is digital in one way or another. Now, we've partnered with Microsoft, obviously, because that's the platform that we believe offers the best platform to build on top of and provide some amazing digital workday experiences, not only for individual users, but as companies as a whole. Now, Valo, we've been around for quite a number of years now, and you can see on the screen there that we have been lucky enough to win a number of awards, and most recently the Clearbox, latest version of the Clearbox report has been released, and again we've been lucky enough to keep our badges as the intranet choice across Europe and North America as well, and also the 2020 ISV Partner of the Year winner in Finland. As a company, we're looking after and have a number of customers and users across the globe. As you can see there, over 650 customers, over 2 million users, and across lots and lots of countries, 45 plus. Okay. Let's dive into a little bit of the first session or the first section of this webinar and have a look at how I guess we are reinventing or helping you enable this this new way of working and most importantly, enabling the external collaboration with your external stakeholders, not only from, I guess, from a communication side of things, but also from a central portal type scenario as well. Now, managing those external users is key. So providing access securely to these environments is something that is really important when enabling these different types of scenarios. And that's where Valo Entrance comes into play, which we'll take a look at in just a second. Now, what we're going to move into now is, I'm going to call a world first because we're in front of other regions, but our marketing team have done an amazing job with a launch.
Close collaboration with other companies and their employees is vital for.
I'm glad to say that we're the first person, the first group, or I guess the first region to be able to show this, and I've played that a little bit too soon, so I'm going to rewind that and let's have a look.
Any kind of close collaboration with other companies and their employees is vital for any kind of business. These contacts often require access to your resources, and granting permission in a secure way can be time-consuming. Introducing Valo Entrance. Whether your business uses Valo Extranet or out-of-the-box SharePoint to distribute information and materials, Valo Entrance makes it simple to share them with your external users safely. You can map available resources to users in a simple way, thanks to access units. Whether you need to share sites or groups, Valo Entrance enables you to easily grant and control access rights for individual users or larger groups of people. The handy self-service registration portal takes the strain out of substantial manual work, allowing you to focus on sharing information with your most important stakeholders safely, whilst Valo takes care of the rest. Valo Entrance, your doorman to VIP access management in Microsoft 365.
Okay, there we have it. I'm going to claim this, the world premiere of the Entrance launch video, and the marketing team has done an amazing job there. Now, I guess over to the vision of, or our vision, I guess, of Valo Entrance. So, I guess currently managing the external users in a 365 environment, as you may know, is fairly cumbersome. Now, what we have built here with Valo Entrance is a really nice and easy way for you to invite your external stakeholders into your organization, and also grant them access to different resources in your organization. Okay. Now, we've also made it a lot easier, and the user experience from an external user side is made really intuitive and nice around by I guess the use of what we're calling the self-service registration portal, which we'll dive into in just a second. Now, the external sharing story, again, you may be using external sharing in some way, shape or form. Now, on the left-hand side here, we can see that we can use the native out-of-the-box way of sharing sites or documents or things like that using the sharing functionality. But that's really mainly for external individual users. Now, what Valo Entrance allows us to do is be able to not only invite external individual users, but organizations as a whole or domains as a whole. And we can not only share access to SharePoint sites, but it could be groups or teams or that type of scenario as well. All right. So we're building on top of the platforms that we're already using in SharePoint and Azure, and we're making that process a lot easier. Now, what we're going to have now, Vincent, I'm going to pass over to you first, and I'm going to ask you and pose this question to you. Now, in your experience, you've been working in this space for quite some time. What have you seen, or what are the real experiences and the challenges that people are facing with managing access to resources with these external stakeholders?
Okay, so the the usual problems that we hear about or we get complaints about usually happens not so much at the beginning, right? But when a site is already running, when a site is mature, right? See, what happened is sometimes the guys who set it up are no longer in the same role, right? Sometimes they're not even in the same company, right? The guys who requested access for certain external users, right? Again, right, might not be in the same role, might not be around, right? So 3-5 years later, when someone audits the site or someone basically looks at the site and says, okay, are these users still relevant? I don't know. Someone invited them. Who invited them? Oh, it's John, but John's no longer working with us, right? Then it becomes a very tricky thing to manage, right? Users, right? So if you have a simple dashboard where you at a glance you can know which groups are allowed in, right? Who is allowed in, right? It makes this process so much easier, right? Now, of course, the counter risk is that if you have people that are on the site that are not supposed to be on the site, right? Then of course you will have a risk of leakages. You have, right, and competitive information going to your competitors. And we had a case like this where they did an audit and they found, right, information was actually being shared with a competitor, right, and nobody was none the wiser, right, and they could just tell by the domain name, right, of the person being shared with that hey, why is this being shared with a competitor, right? So obviously the whole idea is you should tighten the management of external users, but at the same time you should give the person that's managing it a tool, right, to make it easy for him, right, to get it going and also to manage it as it goes along.
Yeah, I think, well, you touched on a good point there, making it, I guess, making it easy for people to be able to securely grant access to these internal resources is something that's really important. Now, Mark, I'll throw this at you as well, given you've had a lot of experience, previous experience in building these type of solutions as well. What have you seen as the challenges that companies face?
Yeah, I think that on the Microsoft 365 platform, external sharing and B2B guest capabilities have evolved over time. However, there are elements that make for an administration overhead that some may deem to be is quite cumbersome, I guess you could say. For example, the need to initiate guest requests for individuals when inviting them into the Azure Active Directory environment. That can sometimes prove to be a blocker to the uptake of some of the great sharing capabilities that the Microsoft 365 platform offers. Ensuring that users that have been invited into an environment, that they have the right level of access to perform the tasks they're expecting to perform as well. So as IT administrators, you either have to manually audit individual objects in Azure Active Directory, or you may start to build up and maintain a series of audit tools to help you perform those tasks efficiently. And by going down that route, I guess admins maintaining their own tool set, they then need to keep that tool set up to date with the latest Azure Active Directory developments to ensure that those tools keep up with the platform capabilities. And I think that's a real challenge as far as the ongoing maintenance of this type of environments or this type of collaboration tool set is concerned.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so there's obviously challenges. We understand that, but if we take a look now and just have a discussion about what the real benefits are to keeping these external stakeholders informed frequently. So there's obviously a lot of benefits with having, let's say, a SharePoint site or an extranet type scenario where all of these groups, disparate groups of people outside of your organization can come and not only get updated with key information, but also access securely documents and that type of thing. Vincent, are there any other, what are the benefits, I guess, that you see with allowing this type of scenario?
So actually, this is a very strange question, but I was told that not everybody sort of understands this. So if you notice, right, even in our part of the town, right, in Kuala Lumpur, right, everybody has become a connected user in some way, right? Even the security guard has a mobile smartphone, right? Even the gardener has a smartphone, right? And you're looking at a country or a city like Kuala Lumpur, where the cleaner, right, could be be paid less than minimum wage, but this person has a smartphone, right? So before that, we couldn't keep people connected. We couldn't, right, share information rapidly, right, because people don't have the devices. But today we do, right? So if you want to be really productive, you want to get everybody connected, you want everybody on the same page, and you want information, you want to share information fast, you want to receive information fast, right? Then you basically need to get everybody connected, and you need the platforms, right, in order to do that. So yes, the benefits are so obvious, right? We just need to jump on it and leverage on it.
Yeah, and Mark, I guess there's you would have seen a lot of benefits and a lot of I guess organisations in different types of scenarios where this B2B type arrangement or facility or platform has some really big benefits, not only for keeping people updated, but easy access to documents, or it could be some plans or drawings or things like that.
Definitely, the Office 365 or Microsoft 365 platform has really grown in that respect. There's a number of scenarios that I've seen, over the course of maybe even the last 5-6 years, that vary, but they all come down to that sort of guest access that we talk about. So an intranet scenario where multiple companies have been brought together into one single entity through acquisition and that sort of thing. That's a scenario where guesting users into a single presence is really important, and there might be a drive for that entity, that larger entity, to have a consistent messaging platform, and that's exactly what these B2B guest scenarios are. What's important in delivering these types of scenarios. But then there's other examples where, say, organizations that develop a community group, or they develop a community amongst enterprise where collaboration needs to occur over time. It might be monthly connection points to enable the combining of a single message to say local government organizations or that sort of thing. That's the type of scenario that I think these types of collaboration platforms are being developed on as well, and keeping that messaging platform consistent across all users is really important.
So actually, right, there's a big discussion that's going on currently, right, about contingency workers, right, as firms shift a lot of their business out to part-timers or contractors, which are not part of the company, right, and to pull everybody together, right, and many companies don't feel like giving them, for example, a full Office 365 license. So one of the ways to engage these people is a SharePoint external user, right? Right, and so you manage these part-timers, you manage these contingency workers, right? Right, as part of your company, but you actually save a little bit of license by not granting them, right, internal user license. So again, I think something like Valo, right, where you can easily manage these teams would be really excellent.
Yes, yeah, excellent. So obviously, yes, massive benefits of being able to create a platform or an area to grant access to external people outside of your company. Now, I'm going to leave it there for now, and we're going to now turn our attention to this new product that is coming out of the Valo kitchen, Valo Entrance. Now, as we've seen, we need to make, and as we've heard from Mark and Vincent, we need to make things a lot easier for organizations to be able to manage these external users. And that's where Valo Entrance comes in. Now, we're just going to take a look at an overview of some features, and then we're going to dive into a live demo. Now, we're just going to touch on a couple of different terminologies in the product, so we've got an understanding before we dive in. Now, you can see on the screen here that we have what we call the Valo Entrance dashboard. Now, this gives us access and visibility over what we call access units, and we'll jump into access units in just a second. Now, from this dashboard, we can access all of our access units that I have created. We can create new access units, and we can find specific access units based on search criteria and that type of thing as well. And you'll notice in that screenshot that it is built inside of SharePoint. All right, so nice UI, nice and easy to use. Now, I mentioned access units just before. Now, access units are, I guess, a container where we do our mapping of external users and our resources. Now, they're really easy to manage and create, and we can easily grant access to not only individual email addresses. So in the bottom left-hand side of that screen there, we can see here that we've got both email addresses, but we've got entire domains that we can enable for access to any given group of resources as well. And that's something that's really, really powerful. So rather than having to invite individual people, we can actually invite an entire domain. So in Mark's scenario before, a merger scenario where we've got a number of different companies coming in to the one tenant, we can then grant access to those domains automatically. This just expands on that a little bit. We've got there a screen where we can allow entire domains. Now, after adding an entire domain, all we need to do is inform these external users about accessing our self-service registration portal, which you can see there as well. And they've got the freedom and the ability to sign up. Okay. Now, speaking of the self-service registration portal, again, public-facing registration portal here, and it's a really easy way for your external stakeholders and users to be able to sign up and log in as and get access to the resources that they've been granted. So the new users really only need to fill in their email address because we already grant them access via the access unit, and then they get a nice looking email invitation to accept. Now, you may have seen the out of the box Microsoft invitation emails. We make those look a lot nicer through some customized templates, and then the users are ready to go. Now, once they're logged in, they get a dashboard that we call My Places, and this gives them everything and links and everything that they have been granted access to as part of a single access unit, or they might be a part of multiple access units as well. All right, so it's a nice combined way. I have seen scenarios where people are bookmarking different resources inside external companies, but this My Places dashboard here gives that external user a nice, easy way to access all of that content. Okay, I'm going to now jump out of the presentation, and we're going to now dive into the demo environment here. So here we are in our demo environment. We're looking at the Valo Leasing Extranet site, and this is the resource that we want to allow all of our external stakeholders access to. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump into the Valo Entrance dashboard here that we spoke about earlier on. Now, this is where we do all of our mapping of our external users to our resources. All right, our access units are that container where all of that happens. So you can see on the screen here that I've got the ability to search for particular users and find out what resources they have got access to via any number of access units. So if I look at and search for Daniel here, you can see here that I've got access through different access units. So I've got Extranet All Partners, Project Phoenix, and External APAC Partners. And they're the access units that are granting me access to different resources in this tenant. Okay, so we can search for external users and see what they've got access to and what access units they're a part of. The next part of the screen here in the page is a tabbed interface here. First off, I've got the access units that are mine, that I'm an owner of, but I can also look at all of the access units. So not necessarily mine, but all of the access units that we've got as part of Valo Entrance here. So I'm just going to flick back onto my access units, and the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new access unit. All right, so let's create one here, and we'll call this APAC Entrance Demo. And we can give it a description here, and we can also now add additional access unit owners here, all right, if we need to. So I'm going to create this, and then this access unit is going to be created. I'm going to be presented with a panel where I can map my resources and my users. Okay, so you can see at the top here, this is a little bit of information about the unit itself. I can see who it's been created by, when it was created. I can see the access owners here on the right hand side. I can also remove this access unit if I need to as well. I can click on the pencil here and I can edit the information associated to this unit. The next panel down here is where we go about creating the resources and giving access to these resources. So as I mentioned just before, I want to give access to this extranet site. So I'm going to copy the URL of this extranet site, and here is where I can add the resources or groups. Okay, so the first thing here is I want to provide the external users that are part of this access unit. I want to give them easy access to our extranet, sorry. So here I'm going to name this Valo Leasing Extranet. And we'll paste that link in there and we'll create that. Now, obviously with SharePoint in this case, we have security groups that are granting access at different levels. Now, I already know that as part of this Valo Leasing Extranet, I've got a security group here that's granting people access. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a new resource and I'm going to add group. And from the drop-down list, I've got Valo Leasing External Users as a security group that is controlling the access to this extranet. So I'm going to also now map anybody that's part of this access unit to that security group. So now I've got a link to the extranet. I've also added the group here to automatically add the people that register to this access unit, automatically grant them and add them to this security group, which in turn gives them access to this extranet. Now, the next panel down here is where we map our users. And you can see here we've got two different sections. We can add individual email addresses. So for example, I can add a new email address in here. And that will grant that individual user or give that individual user the ability to sign up to our extranet. Now, I'm also going to add another email address in here. And we'll pop in Alex here as well. So there's two individual users that we've granted access or have the ability to sign up to our extranet. Now, what if we needed to add multiple people or grant access to this entire company, give them the ability to self-service and sign up through our self-service portal? Well, what we can do in that case is add a domain here. So let's now add this entire domain. So what that's now going to do, not only these two users have got access or the ability or the permission now to sign up to our extranet, but all the users that have this domain as part of their email address. The next bit down here is we can see all of our registered users. So they're not actually registered users until they sign up. So although we've granted access and the ability for these users to go ahead and sign up, they're not actually registered until they go through that process. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flick over to Alex's email account here, and you can see I'm logged in as Alex. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to get access to, and we're going to go to the self-service portal so that Alex can sign up. And this would be the site that would be distributed to the external users to allow them to sign up. So let's flick over to Alex, and we will enter into the self-service portal that now allows Alex to sign up for access to the extranet. So we're going to go through this process here. We're going to now pop in Alex's email address, and I'll just grab that from over here. We'll copy that. We'll jump back into here, and we'll now paste that. It's not going to be Megan, it's going to be Alex. We've read the privacy policy. We're not a robot. Let's select all the tractors, and we will verify our identity, and then we will sign up. So now, if Alex is now part of an access unit, what he can now do is log in or accept the invitation email and then get access to the resources that are part of that access unit. So you can see here, Alex has just received an email from Valo Leasing to go ahead and accept this invitation. You can see this invitation is not your traditional invitation that you get from the Azure AD portal. It's a nicely branded email invitation here. And I'm going to go ahead and accept that invitation. And automatically what's going to happen is I'm going to be granted access, because if you remember, I added that security group as part of that access unit, and that gives access to this extranet. Now all of a sudden here I'm already in the extranet, and I can access the resources that I need to as an external user. Now I'm just going to close that down, and let's have a look at the My Places section here. So again, I'm going to go to the extranet, the portal, the self-service sign-up portal here. Not only do we sign up at this portal, but we also, as an existing user now, if I log in, because I'm already logged in and I'm authenticated to Office 365 in my tenant, I'm automatically going to be logged in here without even needing to sign in. And you can see here that in the My Places dashboard, I've got access to that Valo Leasing extranet. And when I click on that, I'm going to be, that's going to open up in the browser automatically. And there we go, I've got access. All right, so a really nice user experience for an external user to be granted access to this extranet. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to flick back over to the entrance dashboard here, and I'm just going to get out of this access unit now, and I'll go back into it, and you'll see under the registered users now, Alex has now become a registered user, but nobody else has. So Megan hasn't, and nobody else from this domain has actually gone through that sign up process to be able to be a registered user. Now we can keep managing this access unit and add additional links. It doesn't have to be SharePoint. It can be other resources as part of your tenant. And we can give them, and when they log in and look at the My Places section, then they will see those additional resources there on that dashboard. So we don't have to manage other links or bookmarks or anything like that. Now, if we need to manage our users, then we can also remove access. All right. So in this section here, when if we need to remove access from this access unit to Alex, then what we can do is also delete Alex from the allowed emails. But because his domain is actually allowed here, he would still have access. So what we need to do in that scenario is also remove this domain. All right. And now Megan still has the ability and the power to sign up, but nobody else in that domain has the ability to sign up. All right. So we can control the access to those resources as well. So recapping, an access unit is basically a container where you map your resources to the users, the external stakeholders that you want to have access to those resources. All right. Now, an external user can be a member of multiple different access units. Okay, so if I again search for a user, and you can see here, I'm searching for, in this case, my user account, I can view the access unit that this user is a part of, and I can see what resources that grants this account access to. So you can see I'm part of the Extranet All Partners. You can see I've got access to this leasing extranet as well, and you can see it's the same groups. All right. So, and you can see also the other emails that have access to the same resources. Now, if I need to delete an entire access unit, then if I'm the owner, then I can do that as well. So you can see here down the bottom, these are the units I've got access to, but I can also look at all the access units here that are part of Valo Entrance as well. So there we have it. We've gone through three different aspects of the scenario there. We've got the extranet site, and we want to give access to external users too. We've gone through the dashboard here, which is where we create our access units and map those resources with the external users. And again, not only can we add individual emails or individual users, we can also add entire domains. So think about that scenario when you want to allow an entire, in a merger and acquisition scenario, if we want to allow an entire external business into our extranet, then we can just add that entire domain to that allowed list there, and all of those users will be allowed to sign up. And all that needs to happen is that the users are directed to the self-service portal that they can then go through the process and sign up using their email address, and they will get that welcome email that is nicely branded, and it's a really nice user experience for the external user.
Just, we've had a couple of questions come through as through the demo there, and one of them is around whether Entrance can handle access rights within Teams channels and files under them. I think is a really good question, and I mean I could probably jump in and answer that for you. I guess you might have noticed in that demonstration that Daniel has just offered is what underpins this is the ability to add to these access units the Azure Active Directory groups that fulfill the needs for each individual user. So it might be that those groups are provide access into Teams. They also might provide access to specific files if that level of permissions has been granted in a particular team. But yeah, it's definitely something that would be facilitated by Entrance, is the ability to manage access to Teams, and indeed the resources that you identify in that admin interface there. Those resources can link direct to those teams. So it's a very easy, sort of clear, concise way for those users to be guided down using the bouncy ball approach. Really sort of giving them a very quick and easy portal into what they will have access to. And of course, that's not limited to just Teams. It could be any online resource, right? If the access to that online resource is managed by Azure Active Directory, then it can be linked to as a resource through the use of a URL. It just works. You know, I can think of, say, Dynamics 365 as a sort of a left field but very Microsoft centric example here, where we could offer external users through Entrance. They sign up, they've been identified with a particular domain, therefore they are users that would need to see Dynamics information, and a link is provided, and the right permissions are set up for them just to make that really work seamlessly.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Mark. So obviously, with as we know, the process of externally sharing or externally granting access, that process out of the box with the 365 environment can be a little bit, I guess, a little bit hard to manage. So what we've just seen there is a nice, easy way for you to be able to through the use of access units, being able to map users and entire domains to specific resources. And as Mark alluded to there, not just SharePoint resources, but it could be a number of other business applications as well. Now, Vincent, I'm going to pass over to you now, and now you've had a little bit of a look at Valo Entrance and another look just now. What can you see there as the key benefits of how Entrance can take away, I guess, that pain of the management and granting access to resources inside of a company's tenant or organization?
Well, it's very simple, right? It's very easy to use, right? Sort of a no-brainer, right? You've taken out all the complexity and the difficult parts of it, right? Out of the process, right? So the way I see it is usually when you have an intranet, right? IT doesn't want to manage it, right? So you basically assign it to, right, other people, right? To for example, perhaps the finance department or the HR department, right? They have a page, or it could be, right, someone dealing with external partners, right? So you give them, you can actually assign them, right, the rights to decide who is allowed, right, to be an external user onto the site, and let them self-manage. I think that and for a non-IT guy to use this is so simple. I think that was what impressed me about the product.
Yeah, I think, and Mark, I'd like your insights here too. I think there's always a lot of reliance on IT teams or people in that capacity to do this process. But
Yep.
with the Entrance dashboard, if you've got access to the Entrance dashboard, let's say it's a project manager or something along those lines, then they're going to be able to manage that as well, and not rely heavily on IT for that process.
Absolutely. I think that one of the things around these scenarios around B2B guests is that it is very IT centric. It's all housed within Azure Active Directory, and this is a window into that, a nice user interface, a very clean user interface, customizable to the extent that it makes it easy to understand for that sort of, the administrators that exist around your organization, like the project manager, like the the comms manager, or whoever that might be. They might have their own discrete capabilities that they want to have direct control over who can access and who can't. And I think that's a really important piece to that. And we've chosen the SharePoint Online platform to deliver that administration capability. So you get the access granted to that admin capability is driven by SharePoint's capability. So again, there's sort of that we're leveraging the platform that we're on, but we're also providing that window, that portal into the back-end systems, and taking the pressure off those IT administrators that might want to focus on doing the things that are important to them. I guess another aspect that's important that I've noticed in delivery of these types of solutions in the past is for the end user. And I think I drew on it before, but it's really important to simplify that message down, right? To be able to customize that invitation email that gets sent out to the user when they opt in, to give them comfort that they're actually getting access to the thing that they want access to sort of guide those types of users down the path that they need to go. That's a really important aspect to it, and I think Entrance, with just a simple capability of customizing that email in its full capacity. Invitation emails can be out of Azure Active Directory can be customized to a degree, but it's very limited what you can do with those. So this is basically saying here's an entire templating capability. Do what you need to do to get the message right to your end users, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much, both of you, for your insights there. Now, we do have a question, Mark. I might stay with you for just a second. A question's come in from Roger, just around the AD guest account. So, does Valo Entrance create the Azure AD guest account when inviting guests?
Yeah, it does indeed. So that's what underpins this capability is the B2B invitation is generated or is created. It doesn't send the out of the box email out. That's why we've got the customized templates capability. And I guess that's another aspect of this is when considering the deployment of a capability like an extranet, you may not, as IT administrators, you want to say everyone in this domain has the ability to do it, but you might not want to actually invite every single user of that domain up front. You might want to be quite cautious about who's actually accepting those invites into the environment. And Entrance does that by making it a self-service approach. So it's really an opt-in process for users to commence their entrance into the environment. You can send out a generic link to all users. They may come to it in a month's time or 2 months' time. It might be that email that they've archived away and they're not really concerned to action it straight away. But as soon as they do decide to take up that offer, it's only then that the invitation, the guest account, is generated in the target environment, and it's only then that the invitation is obviously accepted. And because it's all happening within the same sort of period of time, I think that's a good experience, a good outcome from an ongoing administration and management of these users. We're not inviting hundreds or thousands of users haphazardly, only to find that maybe 5 of those users really need to gain access to the resources. And so from an ongoing security audit perspective, that's a really good sort of perspective to take to that.
I think if you're looking at community management point of view, that's also very cool, right? Because unless you accept these usage policies, right, we're not going to let you in, right? And if right, so if you want to come in, then we will have deemed you to have accepted these usage policies, and when you violate these usage policies, right, then the community manager has the ability, right, to kick you out, right? And you don't have to do this through IT.
Yep.
Yeah.
Empowering the administrators out, that's absolutely a key element. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now I'm just looking at the other questions. There's no other questions in the queue at the moment. So if any of you would like to learn more about Valo Extranet, then you can head over. That is up and live now. So today is the actual launch. valointranet.com/Valo-Entrance. Vincent.
Yep.
Really appreciate you joining us today for this webinar and sharing your insights. Now, where can everybody find out a little bit more about you?
Yeah. Okay. Good question. Didn't prepare for that.
Put him on the spot.
No, I'll type it in. Right. My company website. Okay, so if anybody wants to know more about us, or you have a business in KL and wants to talk to us, yeah, please feel free.
Very good. So thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and your insights into this area. Also, Mark, thanks for sharing your experience and insights into the pain points and everything like that for external user management and these type of processes.
Definitely, I appreciate the time. And well, there have been a few last-minute questions that came through. I don't know if we've got time for them, but maybe we'll address them after the call.
We will jump on those. So, Mark, actually, let's have a look at this one. What about the termination of guest users? So it's pinging the validity. Let's just disappear. The validity of email addresses and removing any other. No longer.
Yeah, so that's covered by Entrance as well, as in you can remove domains, and it is capable of then taking the access away that's necessary as well. So I think that's part of the lifecycle approach that we're looking to achieve with Entrance.
Yeah, so in that dashboard, in the Entrance dashboard, you do have the ability to delete users or delete entire or remove entire domains from that access unit, and that then disables the access for either the individual users or for the entire anybody in that entire domain for that access unit and the resources inside that.
And on the other, there was another question from Roger. I think whether the domain invite integrates with the sharing settings of your SharePoint Admin Center. It's quite a specific question, but we expect that the sharing settings of SharePoint, if that's a resource that you're sharing out, that those settings are configured to enable guest accounts.
Yep.
Yep. And that they must be guest. They must be, they've been added already to the environment, so that there's a specific setting in there to enable that. So in answer to the question, I guess it's important to make sure that your SharePoint Admin Center settings are up to date.
Yep, exactly. Let me just have a look through any more questions that have come through, and it doesn't look like it. So we shall end the webinar there. So thank you everybody for tuning in live. If you're watching it, if you're watching the recording, hope you found it useful and beneficial. And as I said, if you want to learn more, head over to the Valo Intranet website. So once again, thanks Vincent, thanks Mark,
Thank you.
And we will see you all later.
Cheers.
Okay, cheers. Bye.